Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Passport and Profit. Today, I'm going to share you the real business of importing, buying, selling, and making profit from import vehicles. A lot of people think importing a vehicle from Japan is easy. They they think they're just going to bid on the cheapest car and wait for it to arrive. That's one of the biggest mistake you can make. And today I'm going to show you the exact checklist I use before buying any car. I have bought over 300 cars from Japan and also from local market, and I have sold almost, even though I've been doing this part-time now for the last 3 years. I used to do this full-time along with my minicab business in UK for the first 3 4 years, but then the last 3 years I've been doing it for the part-time, but the strategy remains the same. Actually, due to the ongoing higher level of competition, you got to be more than careful now. You got to be more cautious toward making a bad decision because it'll cost you time and money. So the checklist matters because every car you see behind has already been through a process, a strategy. Before I buy any car, I go through the same checklist. That doesn't mean my checklist will always be perfect, but it'll help me reduce risk and make me uh, to, to make me get closer to making a better decision. Number one is the auction grade. When you buy a car, look at the auction grade. Japanese auction houses inspect the car and they'll give you an honest evaluation with an auction grade. A higher grade means the car is in better condition. But I don't simply rely on grade alone. There's a lot of different factors, like their pictures and other factors. You can see the cautious signs, for example, oil leaks and etc. So the highest best grade you can get is, because these are not brand new cars, they are used car market. So the best grade is 5, which stands for excellent condition. 4.5 is very clean with minor wear and tear. Grade 4 is good everyday condition and often a good value. For example, and I'll give you my strategy. I don't deal with 5 grade because it's very costly. Those cars always tend to be very high in price. The bidding goes higher because most of the bidding people are the end users. They're not. This is in my opinion, because when I calculate the cost and make all the calculations, I don't see any profit in that car because it becomes so costly in Japan that if I import it here, how am I gonna sell it when the car already cost me what it costs in the UK market? So I need to buy a car with a good margin, hefty margin, so I can make a profit on it. Otherwise, what's the point of the whole exercise? So I only deal with, barely, sometimes I deal with 4.5, very clean, if I get a good price. Otherwise, I stay in the range of 3.5 to 4.5. So 4 is a very satisfactory, good condition. But 4 is like, you got to be careful. Sometimes even 4 goes for a very high price. So 3.5 and below, it's like the 3 and 2 are like, it will have accidental damages and all these things. So I never bid anything below 3. Only if I'm getting a very clean pictures, that's when I will go for 3. Otherwise, it will be 3.5 to 4.5. So I will absolutely not go. It's no point getting a very cheaper car for two grade, 2.5 or 3 grade, because you're going to be end up paying so much for the wear and tear, and it's very costly in places like UK and America to get the car body damage fixed. So you will end up saving no money. For example, I know people that, end up spending like £1,000 on the body damage, and they bought the car £500 cheaper. So they end up losing money that way. So this is my point. Number two is mileage. So you have to see the mileage. The lower the mileage is usually better, but it is not everything. I rather buy a well-maintained car with higher mileage than a neglected car with lower mileage. Like, my point is that the more the lower mileage is, the car is going to be, again, is the bidding price will go higher. So there are a lot of end users which want to buy the car for their personal use. So they will go for lower mileage. When they see a lower mileage, they will bid it because they don't want to trade. They're getting it cheaper from the market, 10%, 15% off. So they're willing to buy it, bet on it. But it's no point buying a very, very low mileage, and it's no point buying a very, very high mileage, because especially these Mercedes, I will not recommend going, because I had a very terrible experience with going over 100,000 miles especially from the auction, with these, because you will end up with turbo engine faults, transmission faults, and it will cost you like £2,000, sometime more. So there's no point of going for a cheaper car with higher mileage. So, I mean, to each his own, but my strategy is to stick with from 40,000 miles to 75,000 miles. All these 10 cars here, they are in between 40 to 75,000 miles. This is my bracket range. I do not go above that, because, I mean, these Priuses, the one I used to order, I used to even buy them for 100,000 miles, because they can run up to even 400, 500,000 miles. That's why they were so popular in the minicab business in UK. I mean, even if a car is 100,000 miles, I mean, I have a car sitting there which is nearly 300,000 miles, and it's still running smooth. So, but these German cars, you have to be careful. They're not meant to be driven like 250,000 miles without heavy wear and tear. And the next thing you got to look at is service history. You have to look at service history. Like, you have to look at, like, if there's any oil leaks, and you have to see how many previous owner it had, why the car was changing hands. Especially when you buy from the UK, you have to make sure that why this car is changing so many hands. I've seen cars. I had a bad experience with cars which were literally 60,000 miles, but it had like 6 owners. So when I bought the car, then I found out that it has some of the very, very, like, transmission was somehow the previous owner abused the engine and transmission, and like everybody was trying to get rid of that car, so to avoid the cost of replacing the engine. So another thing is the exterior. You have to make sure, like, especially cars like these, you have to make sure the exterior is well maintained. For example, the leather seats, you have to look at the steering. The steering shouldn't have so much wear and tear on them. This is one of the very important signs in nearly every car, but especially cars like Audi and Mercedes. People don't want, like, a very rough interior, because they're buying it for, the brand. So if it's a Mercedes and interior is in a very bad shape, people, you will not be able to sell it easily, or you're gonna have to drop a very high price. Lastly, when you buy the car, look at the bumpers, the doors, the bonnet, roof, and the wheels. For example, these are both Q5. Look at the wheels and look at the tire condition. It has a lot of life left, but this tire, I have a feeling that they needs to be changed. even though they're the same year, I believe they are 2012 models, but the tire these tires is gonna cost the trader, and this gonna eat your profit. So you have to make sure these things. But there was a difference. This car is very less used. It's about 40,000 miles, and I think I got lucky with this one. This car is actually the reason I bought this one was this one cost me a bit extra. This one was one of the very low mileage car I got. It was, I believe it was 34 or 35,000 miles, but this one was around 70,000 miles, 70 or 75,000 miles. And you see the difference. So this is twice as much driven than this one. 35,000 and about 75,000 miles. So look at the conditions. Look at even the condition of the cars. So these are small, these are just tape signs from when the car is shipped. So they put, like, maybe they put tags, or they tie when they're tying the vehicle. So these kind of, like, the car goes from the Japanese warehouse towards the port. So when they tie the car in the port, like on this kind of a recovery truck, then that's when they tie the car. They use some kind of, in order to, like, they don't use too much of the, like, shackles, to avoid like scratches. Then you have to make sure you look at the seats, steering wheel, dashboard, and all of that. Then you have to be very careful about when the car gets here. You have to look, this is something is beyond your control, because you can only look at the auction sheet and see that. I have turned on both of these cars. They are both the same Mercedes, and one of them has a loud engine noise. It might needs like an oil change, but if I turn them on, you can see that. But this is something you have to look for, like, the extra noise from the car. Obviously, if I can detect that, the customer will. And you have to see these things, because I have all of these cars. I have now it's I mean, this used to be the old thing, and now you don't really have to worry about that, because this is an old this is something old. In old cars we used to look at that the car has like reverse camera, parking sensor, cruise control. But now, literally, like, because some of these cars are the most very expensive ones, because we want to buy them in the budget range. Like, for example, the Q5 there, if you buy them the latest models, they'll be very costly, and it'll take you time to find a expensive customer. For example, the, like, maybe 5-year-old Q5 will be well in the range of like 20,000 plus. So it will take you like a long time to find such a customer. So that's why we try to buy the budget ones. They're both under 10,000 pounds. So that's why we look for that. So that's why they are 2012 models. So even in 12 models, we still look for reverse camera, parking sensors, cruise control, and heated seats, because it's very, it gets like 8 months, 9 to 10 months out of the year. It's kind of colder in these areas. So finally, I'll conclude with the profit. You have to calculate how much you're buying the car for, which is the auction price, what the auction charges are, then what is the shipping cost. There are three kind of shipping costs. One is that you're going to be charged from the warehouse to the port from Japan. Then what you're going to pay from Japan port to the UK port, which is the highest, which is I believe it's about $800 per car at the moment. Sometimes it goes up and down, depends on the fuel charges, but mostly it goes up. It doesn't go down. I haven't seen any price going down in the past couple of years. Even when the fuel price goes down, the shipping cost, I haven't seen it any lower than previously. And then you have to cover the cost, from UK port to your warehouse. Then you have to look at taxes, the custom charges, the repairs, the MOT, registration, and all the cost. After you, it might seems a lot, but we have a roughly estimate of every car. Once you do 1 or 2 cars, or at least 5 cars, because I have imported almost 300 cars, and I have sold almost 300 cars. From a lot of cars were from the UK auctions as well. So once you import that many cars, then you get a roughly estimate of how much an average car costs. You don't have to do this calculation over and over. You'll get an average of, like, let's make 5 cars, make a total, then create an average, and you will see the same average will apply to all the other 5 cars, unless the car is very, very different or is very expensive. But we stay in the same budget car range. Our selling car values are around, I believe, 7 to 10,000 pound range. So it's a mid range. It's not a premium cars, and it's not too budget cars. Like, I will call budget cars 5,000 pound or below. So they're kind of in the mid range. So we deal with the mid range ones. So this is how it goes. So in the end, I will conclude that, if you want to see any profits in this business, so you have to go through this passport and profit checklist, and it will help you save a lot of money and time. Thank you.